What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast, episode 39. Exiled Dead. We just spent like 20 minutes trying to come up with a title, and I just did it right there. No, this will be Exiled. Are the Exiled Dead your appalling end? For anyone that isn't familiar, the Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of four busy gamers, their annual journey to the Nova Open Convention, playing games that they love, and balancing life with those games. My name is Jerod Johnson. Tonight I am joined by Trace Hyde.
What's up?
And Jason Tabled Noob Murray.
My tooth hurts.
You don't have any teeth.
Oh.
Dyntalos.
That dentist.
That
took
dentist.
them all away.
Yeah, so we're going to break from our recent trend in Hexhead episodes. We have been playing with and against the Exiled Dead a lot, and there have been a lot of conversations in the community around the Exiled Dead, so we thought that it would be worth it to break from our traditional Rivals/Rivals Plus format and talk about championship format, because it looks like the Exiled Dead are really going to shape the meta for the near future. So we wanted to just record an episode, talk about some of the strengths of the Exiled Dead, and then maybe some tech that you can take, not to, lean against them, but some thoughts and plans and ideas that you can use regardless of the warband that you've chosen to play in a championship event, to kind of give you an edge against the Exiled Dead. But since we skipped this in the last episode, we do want to take some time to catch up with what everybody has been up to lately in the hobby gaming life front. So with that, Trace, what you been up to, buddy?
So I've had a little change of pace. I've actually been setting up a new computer and some other input devices to hopefully start bringing you guys some painting content at some point soon. So I'll be actually creating YouTube videos and probably streaming a little bit. Hopefully having some hangouts with these guys too. So that's what I've been working on. Been trying to get the stream set up and all the overlays and stuff set up nicely, and testing camera angles and audio and all this other fun stuff. So that's what I've been up to.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you showcased your little iPhone as a webcam hack the other night when we were hanging out, and I was super impressed. Like the autofocus and just the clarity of that setup for like a simple stream looks pretty good. So I'm excited to see what you're able to put together.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. Jason,
what about you guys? Yep.
I'm just trying to figure out why my mic is hot on all the time. I don't know what sound I got going on here, so I apologize, but thought it was the Roomba downstairs. Guess it's not, because the door is closed. So, but from a hobby standpoint, I mean, I put together all the Underworld's warbands, so Skitter Shank, right? I got that one right?
Yep.
And then the Shadow Elves and Exiled Dead. I put together, who comes with Mystique in Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's an X-Men person.
Beast.
Oh yeah, put together Beast. That was fun.
Nice. Book or no book?
No book, because you went book. So I'm trying to make sure that mine are different than anyone else's in the group.
Okay, fair enough.
And then I got
some glasses or no glasses.
No glasses.
Oh.
Then ours are the same. You failed.
Oh, well. Dang. Is yours painted and posted? Then how was I supposed to know that?
It's fine.
Savage.
But then other than that, I did get some Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff painted back from Justin, who picked up a little side project, and I got Thor, Hulkbuster, Iron Man, and Ghost Rider, which Justin loved painting Hulkbuster, but my favorite is Ghost Rider. What he did with the flames was phenomenal. And then, other than that, just getting a ton of Underworld's games in. We had the meetup, so I've been playing a lot of Rivals locally, trying to get that beautiful pirate onto the table. and playing with him with Maze Breachers. So believe it or not, I think Maze Breachers works really well for him. I've had some pretty, I won't call it success, but closer games than what would have been with his own faction deck. And then I also played a Rivals Plus game, but I gotta go back. I put too much faith in the minions, and the minions just died. And Buccaneer missed like every attack in my Rivals Plus game. But it's nice to get him on the table. And the funny thing is to this point, I have 15 attack actions with my minions or companions that had an opportunity to light finger. And guess how many have been successful?
0.
Until the other night, yes, 2 out of 15. I've gotten 2 to go through and get an extra ammo token. I mean, I've been rolling like double crits or 3 hits and single crit defense. It's been hilarious when put in the position to light finger how often I fail.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad they're seeing the table though, because when we talked about them originally, we were not too hot on their rivals deck. So it's good. It's cool to see that the Maze Breachers deck is able to do some work for them.
I think I scored in most games with the straight rivals deck. I scored 10 objectives and 11 objectives.
Okay.
And if he hits, he's just like any other big boy, right? Like,
yeah,
he hits well. One of the games he was actually taken out round 1, and I was able to tie the game 11-11. I did lose because the other person was standing in an objective, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, so I have not been able to get as many games in as I would like. I went to San Diego for my sister's wedding, and then I got COVID, and then I recovered from that, and then I traveled to Boston for work, well after the CDC guidelines for infection and recovery for anyone that matters to. And so, but I have been able to play online. I started with Zandire's Truth Seekers in the online league and promptly lost my first 2 games.
That worked out pretty well, huh?
Yeah, it did. So those definitely went back on the virtual shelf. It worked out that it was right after the Exiled Dead were released, and I started playing those and managed to squeak out 2 wins with those. One of those wins came down to game 3 because of a cheeky daylight robbery.
Cheeky? We're calling it cheeky
robbery.
now?
It was cheeky. It was a cheeky daylight robbery. That was a fun little moment.
It was a moment that I went sideways on.
Yeah. I would apologize, but
you won't.
I won't. No.
No need to. You're playing within the confines of the game, and it didn't. I mean, it won you the game, but it did. Yeah. Just irritated my soul.
Yeah. And it was one of those situations where I think that if it had not gone off, the game would have gone significantly differently. But we'll never know. We'll never know. Yeah.
Well, somebody would have ditched objectives too instead of being greedy. I probably would have went another way too. You know.
Yeah. So, but with that on the hobby side, I'm about 30% finished painting the Exiled Dead. So I built all of the new war bands, but just with travel for work and not feeling great, have not had as much time at the painting table as I would have liked. But hopefully that will change soon, since the warband that I decided to paint first is the most powerful warband in the game right now.
Are they though?
No, I don't think that's entirely true, but they're strong. And as we said, I think that they're shaping the meta, and that's why we wanted to record. So
they're a bugbear.
They are a bugbear. They're at least a gatekeeper in the meta for competitive events. Like, you're gonna have to have a plan to deal with them at some point in whatever your championship journey is. So yeah. So I think with that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how awesome the Exiled Dead are.
And we're back. And I am going to take the reins on this segment, and you boys better watch out. because those Exiled Dead are coming for you. And let's talk a little about why these guys are such a problem right now. Do you guys have any insight for the masses out there as to exactly what the problem is with these folks right now?
Well, I think I know, but I mean, well, who am I? Just some talking head.
Just a voice coming through the ether.
So no, I think that's a great point. Just to, we're diverging from our normal Rivals Plus, but I think what we've kind of put the foundation of this podcast in is to include everybody and make sure that everyone is aware and look out for the casual player, even though sometimes we all go a little competitive. So this episode, I think, was needed just to inform people about Exiled Dead because it seems to be very polarizing. Like, we have not seen a warband in Underworlds like this since, in my opinion, Mollog, in the fact that just how much emotion it brings into the game. And I think it's because this warband in its design really disrupt the basic rules of the game so much. A lot of warbands will break a basic rule once. Like Ideneth Deepkin, you can double move in turn 1 and turn 3, right? That kind of breaks breaks what the norm would be. Well, the Exiled Dead, as we'll talk about, have a lot of strengths that leverage outside the confines of those rules.
So we've seen this before, though, and it seems to be a trend with the undead warbands in particular, right? So, like, the Briar Queen is a perfect example. Like, they were also a point of topic for several seasons because of how efficient they were with their movement, and especially when objective play came into play, they were a hot topic. So I think that it's surprising to me that this keeps happening with these particular death warbands and how efficient they are. This seems to be an efficiency problem more than anything. So, Jerod, what do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just piggybacks off of what Jason was saying, that because they do so many things that tap into the "but my card says" rule in the rule book that breaks out of the normal action chain, activation chain. It means that it's a more complex problem to solve when you're playing them, because I think that there was a mild ramp up to them actually coming up to the fore in the competitive scene, and then certainly when you're playing against them.
Right.
So we just want to make sure, Jason, you were saying we want to make sure that we're looking out for kind of the casual gamer to kind of intercept this disruptive warband and put something out there that hopefully helps to level the playing field.
Yeah, right. We're managing through change. Right, that's my whole job is to manage through change. And right. I'm trying to equip you to manage through this change.
Yeah,
nice.
We appreciate that. So let's talk about some of the strengths of this warband in particular, and kind of what you guys feel that if you're playing them, you should lean into, or if they are across the table from you, what you should expect to be some common trends as far as what they're bringing to combat you.
Yeah, I think we'll just start with the biggest one, and we covered it in a previous episode, so I won't read the whole card in particular, but doing the zombie dance.
Yeah.
So the dance allows you to move the horde or attack with the horde all in the same activation. But really what we're seeing players start to leverage out of this is the fact that the Exiled Dentist, or Dantalos, for whoever you guys want to call him, but he'll always be the dentist to me, has stagger, a range 3 attack with stagger. It's a magical attack, and that range 3, and you typically will, if you're attacking, go with him first and try to stagger the target, which then, if you do, gives the rest of the zombies overload if they are inspired still, which gives them additional damage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so not only do you hit that stagger for additional accuracy, right? Because they're 2 dice on furies, right? So it's not a very accurate attack. But as soon as you throw stagger in there and you roll 1 success, well, now you re-roll the other one, and you're fishing for another crit or fishing for another success. It makes a huge difference. So not only are you adding that accuracy, but now with overload, everybody gets to add +1 damage. It can be painful when those subsequent zombie attacks hit.
There's some multiplicative gaining of power through this particular mechanic.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there something that doesn't during the dance mechanic? Isn't there something that removes reactions? Correct.
Yeah, and it's not just the dance dynamic. It's the puppeteer action too. So whether you're doing multi-actions with Dauntelos or multi-actions with Markov, your opponent, neither you nor your opponent can react during those. And so all of those defensive reactions that exist, the damage mitigations reactions where you can say discard WOG counters to remove damage or discard hunger counters to remove damage, or you can just reduce damage by 1 because of a reaction on your card. Whatever the case is, none of those are an option. You can't
attack back or whatever.
Yeah. None of that becomes an option. And it works itself out too, because now I can't react if I'm the Exiled Dead player, so I'm not able to react with all of the cards that might add damage. There are cards out there where if you roll a crit with your attack, you can do an additional damage after the attack. There are cards where supporting fighters can add damage or whatever the case is. But I mean, we're not going to list them because they don't matter because you can't do them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the dance dynamic is leaning into efficiency, but there's also Regulus has some built-in efficiency too, doesn't he? So he can multi-charge, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. So the Markov's puppeteer, and again, we covered this in the Rivals review. But if you puppeteer, Regulus can charge multiple times in a turn, and at a range 2 hammer attack, it's very efficient, and it often can get the glory train started, or as we'll talk about and some things that you may want to do, he's a pretty darn good backfield mitigator, right? So like if someone
he's
does
like
get
a backfield bully.
yeah, like he can come up in support when need be, but that's where I've seen him play the best is kind of beating up around the backfield. So.
Yeah. And then, I mean, so what's crazy about this is, okay, so dance dynamic, you can either move or attack with 5 fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Puppeteer, you can take any action with Markov and then any action with Regulus, which is already potent, right? It's already breaking that activation economy. Both of those actions allow you to bring back an out-of-action fighter in addition to whatever you've done. So if there's a conducted minion out of action, Dauntelos can bring him back. And if Regulus is out of action, then Markov can use his action. He could move and bring back Regulus, or he could even charge and bring back Regulus. So it is definitely a strength.
Yeah. It can feel kind of oppressive a little bit. Like you feel like you've done all this work and you've dodged all these attacks, and then you actually get something to connect, and then boom, the dude that you killed is just right back in action, which is
And I want to flip that script because I've definitely been there, Trace. There have been games where it is turn 3. I've just fought. I'm like dripping sweat from rolling dice, right? And I fought all game, and I look across the board, and the entire 7-fighter warband is
still
back
there
on the board, right?
Yeah.
And it can feel oppressive. But what happened this week is, what? That's fine. That's fine that you have 7 fighters still on the board. I'm just going to farm some more glory.
Yeah.
You're just bringing that fighter back, so I get
Yep.
more glory. Thank you. You go ahead and do that. Bring it back.
Right.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Just bring them on back.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a great point to bring up. So in addition to being able to kind of pad your glory count by having fighters come back, even though you're, like you said, you're dripping sweat, So you're going to get, when you're playing against this warband, you're going to have an opportunity to score a lot of kill glory, which is great. But what about objectives? Like, what are they doing to try and, what are they trying to score? And what are some things that you can do as the opponent to kind of stem the tide and help pad your glory in addition to all those kills that you're getting?
Yeah, so there's a ton of new objectives, and we didn't cover these. Like, we haven't covered them on this podcast because we're looking at things from a rival and Rivals Plus perspective. But two objectives that are new that are out there. There's Ever Downwards, and this is a hybrid. It's score immediately after you delve 3 times in a power step, or if you delve 1 time with your leader in a power step and your leader's in enemy territory. Right? I got that right, Jason? I don't have it pulled up. So
Yeah,
1 glory. Easy in either case if you've got Daintelos push forward and he delves, or you've got the move to get your minions, 3 minions onto feature hexes and they can delve, right? Boom, you're done. And then Sudden Revelation, which is delve twice in a power step. Doesn't matter where. And the important note here is that you can delve a feature token that is a cover hex on both sides. So it still counts as a delve. It's in the rule book, so you just flip it to another cover hex, but it still counts as the delve. It still counts as a flip. And so, I mean, those are 2 easy surges that can be scored in 1 activation. And then there are others. I mean, there's the standbys, the Horrors in the Dark, Impending Doom, Alternating Strikes. I think actually we've ended up covering all of those in various means. But I mean, that's 5 surges that you don't have to kill anything. You don't even need successful attacks for any of those. And there are more out there.
Yeah, and then you just add salt and pepper to taste for whatever you're trying to do.
And that's just the surges. So that's 5 really good surges. So Jason, what about the end phase?
Well, just to comment on the surges, a lot of people are using those, except Alternating Strikes, because that is a faction specific. But a lot of people are trying to do the same thing. So this new injection of objectives into Championship has made surge scoring quicker and easier than it ever has been. It's just that with this particular warband and the efficiency, it doesn't disrupt what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then for end phase, they have lots for being on cover and feature hexes, which is where the meta is kind of going anyway. Is like we're moving away from straight objective feature tokens, where people want to be controlling a feature token or a cover feature token. And then the biggest thing with them that I didn't see coming, even when we did kind of the Rivals review, is they have this lumbering aggro, right? Where they like capture the aesthetic so great. Like they're zombies, just brains, right? Like coming at you. Well, there's a lot of cards that score if they outnumber you in your territory or you're not in their territory. Like they want to be in enemy territory and have no one from the opposing warband in friendly territory.
Yeah. Like
Me Locker, which is the one that we've discovered or discussed before in the Rivals, but Lengthening Shadow, which is comes out of the Illusionary Might pack. Then there's Lurking Death, Master of the Abyss, Path to Death, which are some of those are death specific cards, but they all have the same flavor. You either want to stand on a cover hex in enemy territory or be in enemy territory. Yeah. So one of the ways to get around this, and we'll cover it more in depth as we go through how to mitigate them, but is to play on their side of the board, which is harder done than said.
Yes. For sure.
So I think that's a good segue though. So we've kind of talked about the things that make them strong, from the fighter cards and their move tech and them being able to activate multiple times with Regulus and some these other fighters, that their efficiency, and then also how the current card pool aids them in what they want to do. So now that we've talked about those things, let's talk about kind of the things that you want to be thinking about to try and beat them as consistently as possible. Obviously player skill is going to come into this, but we can try and give you some tools to help you mitigate some of these things. So let's start with board placement. Are you offsetting? Are you longboarding? What are you guys thinking? Is there a favorite boards you have for these guys if you're going up against them?
So Jason, you've played against them more than I mean, I've played with them a lot, but you've played against them. So I'm gonna kind of.
So what are you
tip
looking to when you play with them? What are you trying to put down? If you're picking engagement, what are you trying to pick, Jerod?
So I want. So if I have to put a board down first.
No, if you're putting the second board, if you're laying out the battlefield.
Okay, yeah. So if I get to lay out, if I get to choose my engagement, I'm probably gonna go. I don't know if I go full offset, but a slight offset to help keep you out of my territory. And then I'm just going to stack as many starting hexes close to that offset as I can, because I want to get into your territory so that you have to deal with me in your territory and you can't get back to me in my own territory. The wide, when I first started playing, the wide I thought was the way to go with them, but I think it gives you too many opportunities to get to me and too many opportunities to kind of dodge the zombie horde. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I think wide is actually a good defensive play against them.
Yeah. So let me just and I got that from playing them. I've played them a lot trying to figure out and prepare for this episode. But I'll just pick one, like Chamber of Genesis. There's 2 hexes right on the front line on the wide board or the offset board. There's one back from the front line, and then there's 1 2 back. I think the Exiled Dead player is trying to pick a board that has hexes grouped together where they can do one dance and get everyone kind of pushed together in enemy territory. Now, remember, their move 3, there is a card that's seeing play called Eternal Chase, which makes everyone move 4 for a whole turn. So they maybe move 4. So Trace, you asked, how do I counter this? I'm counting spaces. And I wish there was a hard and fast answer into how I lay out the board, but there's not. I'm going to look at, if I win board placement, so Jerod has to put down first board. I'm going to take that board and I'm going to try to get it where there's the least amount of hexes within 2 to wherever the board edge is. So if that is wide, that's great. Because ideally wide, like you said, if I'm playing a 3, 4, or 5 fighter warband and I place 5 wide, I now can put 2 to the left, 2 to the right, mid to back of my board, and then maybe 1 center if I'm playing a 5-man warband. And I want to make him pick. Where are you coming? Are you coming left? Are you coming right? Ideally. But if not, if I have to offset, my goal is to make him have to move at least twice to get in a good position to attack me. Whether that's with Regulus or the zombie masses. And then longboard is an option, but you have to be careful with longboard because he can wall up all the way across, and Dantalos has the range to hit all the way across. But with Shadeborn, Shadeborn who can jump, long is really nice because now you're guaranteed 2 to 3 moves to get to me.
Yeah. Okay. So to kind of feed off that in the normal setup of things, right? We go to our boards. So now when you're placing your objectives, you're keeping those hexes in mind, right? So you're trying to get those objectives, especially if you're going to lean into some other alternative styles that may not be popular right now. Objectives are going to be crucial. So where are you placing those objectives, Jerod? As the Exiled Dead player, do you care about those objectives? I know that there's some cards in there that you want to flip them, I think, or potentially stand on them. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, the feature tokens are important, and I think that's just a product of kind of the new cards that have been injected, where I want to be on feature tokens or cover hexes. And so my first feature token placement, if I get 3, is going to be just on the other side, because that gives me a guaranteed right across the line feature token. So either a cover hex or feature token in enemy territory. And then from there, if I can get another one of mine close in your territory, then I'm probably going to do that. And then my third one is probably going to stay close to my line so that if you do go after it, I don't have to go too far out of your territory to come back and get you, or Regulus can be standing right there to mess with it. But yeah, but I do care. I do care where those feature tokens go. And then my cover hex is either going to go also right across the line, or maybe right in no man's land, depending on kind of where other cover hexes or feature tokens are on the board. So
Jason,
Yeah.
as the opponent, what are you thinking?
Yeah, and that's the nice balance of the game, right? So like let's say I'm picking the format of the board layout, right? So now Jerod automatically gets a really nice placement of the first objective. Then he's going to take his additional feature token and put it right next. And now I'm playing uphill because he's going to score Sudden Revelation, Horrors in the Dark with just coming forward, right?
Right.
But if I'm the counter and I'm placing 3 hexes, I want to be very clear. If you have a game plan, you're going to leverage the feature tokens for your game plan first.
yes, definitely.
But the second part of that is if I can put it, let's say you have no man's land and then 1, 2, 3, and then that way when if I put it like 3 into my territory and I count back to no man's land, like that means the next objective that he's placing only can be in no man's land or off to one of the sides.
Right.
So I'm trying to force it again, so he has to move multiple times to get to where he wants to go. And that'll wall off. So like I'll put that objective kind of 2 or 3 deep into my territory in a position that pushes his next place back towards no man's land. Or if he jumps over it, now it's buried in the back of my board. If he doesn't jump over it, then I can put one buried in the back of my board. And then I'm probably putting one buried in the back of his board just to make it harder, knowing that he's then going to place a feature token that'll support his play space. And then I may not place a feature token. So if I'm not playing, I'm the double Gloomside feature token, the last one I get to place, I may just abstain and not put that down unless I'm playing cover and feature token play. If I'm playing objective play or aggro, I don't want that additional hex on the board.
Nope. Yeah. The additional cover that you get from that is not worth how easy that makes kind of the prevalent game plan for the Exiled Dead to execute.
That makes sense. You don't want to try and give them an additional defensive tech without any, recourse really.
Yeah.
So
And it's not even just defensive tech. It's, another feature token for them to be on.
Yeah, and then just keeping track of it. And I know mid-game sometimes like you think that you're on a objective and it's actually just the Gloom token or whatever.
Yep. Or
So
somebody
that can-
plays the card that lets you move to feature tokens, which is one that I've seen played recently that I totally forgot existed. So
Okay.
And sorry, and I forgot to mention for our fan base when we were talking about boards, if I lose the roll or Jerod is picking the battlefield layout and I have to place first board, some specific boards that I might counter with, like Soul Refractor.
yeah, when you said that one,
Yeah.
I was like, that's the perfect counter board.
Because now there's like Soul
That's the one with the
Refractor.
3 block hexes, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
There's 3 box hexes, and it's kind of like they're in the center of the board. No matter what way he aligns the board, I'm probably getting 3 or 4 hexes backboard. But those blocked hexes that are like right in a triangle in the center of the board, he can now not amass in that area. I might be able to get engagement where I'm fighting one zombie at a time.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be Shahishan Stardial, because it has a group of 3 blocked hexes again. And no matter what way he aligns it, I probably can use those 3 hexes to kind of force him in a direction.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Sorry, not to regress, but
No,
No,
that's
it's
fine.
important.
Absolutely. That's a good shout. So I mean, so it sounds like you need to be able to kind of like maneuver around the wall, or in Jared's case, if he's the player, he's trying to maneuver to get people in position. So it sounds like push tech's going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to want to use to combat these folks, right?
There's so many good push cards for the Exiled Dead.
right.
So they have their own that lets you push 2 conducted minions, 2 hexes each. Center of attention, which is exactly what they want. They want to pull somebody into the
I
middle.
hate that card.
You do hate that card. Do you hate it as much as you hate Daylight Robbery, though?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah. And then in Hypnotic Buzz, right? So the classic distraction. I mean, that card doesn't exist anymore. At some point, we're going to be recording this podcast and we're going to say distraction, and somebody's going to be like, "What are you talking about?" So the ability to push an enemy fighter in any capacity is, I think, always going to be strong, and especially for this warband where they want to suck you in, where they want to get that. So they are very like economically efficient when it comes to their actions, but they're still not perfect in that regard. And that what you really want to do is stack attacks. So you don't want like Dying to Low shooting and 1 zombie attacking. You want Dying to Low shooting and like 3 zombies attacking. And the only way that you're going to do that is if you can move around somebody that's charged, or if you can pull somebody in the power step. So
yeah, because a key point of the dance is once you make them dance once, they're locked into dancing.
yep.
So like what I mean by that is they dance, everybody gets a move token. Right? So now those individual fighters cannot charge.
Right.
They cannot move. They have to dance.
Yes.
So I can now control, like not fully control, but I can control engagement or make them burn further activations to get set up. Because they don't want to burn a dance to, like Jerod said, attack with Dantalos and 1 zombie. They want multiple attacks.
Yeah.
So that's really where you want to pick and choose your charge actions wisely. Don't give them easy targets. And like you said, there's a ton of push tech for the zombies. But there's also
I was gonna say you're gonna bring pushes of your own though.
Yeah.
If you want to try and play these folks. Because
And
you
I
want to
have
try and you want to get out of their grasp, right? Like it's just like
Yeah.
any zombie movie, right? Where you're trying to do everything you can to get out of the swarm.
Yep.
So
Again,
what are you bringing?
Well, I just love the fact that you made that reference, right? You're in a zombie movie, you want to get out of this swarm. This warband feels exactly like that. It's awesome.
Right, yeah.
So I'm gonna bring all the push tech because I always bring all the push tech. So for designing a list that does this, these cards don't change the way that I would go about designing a list. But there is one thing, and Jerod really capitalized on it, that, I'll list a whole bunch of pushes here in a second. But normally I'm utilizing those pushes to set up my attacks. Jerod, how do I want to approach the pushes in this matchup?
Yeah, so it's tough. I mean, you're right. So it's scary because they're around you and they're in you and they're on top of you. And so instead of using your own pushes to set up your own attacks and your own movement, you actually want to save your pushes to react to any pushes that the Exiled Dead do, because that's where you're getting them.
The number of supports and stuff.
Yeah, you're making them use resources and hopefully dance and do the move action of the dance dynamic more often than they want to. Because if you can, mirror move off of the last center of attention. So if they do center of attention, they pull your fighter in first, then they pull in another zombie. Well, now you mirror move yourself back out. And so now they're not adjacent anymore. And so now they either have to burn more gambits to get you back where they want you to do, or they may not have those. So they're going into their activation, and that activation may be another dance, which is way better for you than them getting to attack. So
yeah, okay. Mirror move is like, I think it kind of fell out of. So for those that don't know, mirror move is in the essentials pack. It is a reaction to a push. So if another fighter is pushed, so it can be any fighter. If, let's say, Jerod pushes my Shayborn fighter into his little U trap, I then react with mirror move, and I can push any other fighter but the fighter that was originally pushed in another way.
Yep.
So if he is center of attention, and let's say he selects one of his fighters, he selects Ione and pulls me into the center of the zombie horde. But maybe he's gonna grab one more fighter and pull them in as well because you select Ione and you can push everybody within 2.
Yep.
I might want to wait till he selects the other fighter, then go back and select my own fighter because it is different than the one that he just selected, and push myself back out.
Yeah. And I think so. One thing to note here is with center of attention, you don't have a choice. It's not a you can. It's select one fighter, push all fighters within 2 hexes of that fighter, 1 hex so that they are closer to the chosen fighter. It's not a can, it's not a may. And so for the Exiled Dead players, when you play center of attention, push all your other zombies first and then push the other fighter last.
Nope, it doesn't matter. So you play center of attention, you pick your zombie, I mirror move, and I push my guy away from 2.
Mirror move your guy away. Yep. No, you're right. Mirror move,
now
man.
Because you have to do it in order. You can't
Yep.
you can't do all of it at one time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So is there any other? There's some other cards too, right? That you can use to kind of get out of dodge. So step between shadows one that allows you to jump between
so that one
shaded hexes or whatever.
That one requires some setup. The one card I don't want to forget before we move on and get out of pushes is Confusion. So Confusion's been there for a long time as part of the Essentials pack, but like it hasn't seen a ton of play recently, but I think this is like a card we're going to see. It helps support a lot of the objective and feature token play, and it can be huge in saving that fighter and getting him out of the zombie horde, or because we haven't talked about this yet, but the easiest way to beat the zombie horde is to take off the head, get rid of the Dantalos, and a sweet Confusion to bring Dantalos into a precarious position. Could be big, but more importantly, it's probably going to save you.
Yeah.
And then it's just the regular ones. You got Hypnotic Buzz, which we've already talked about. Allows you to push one of them. Sidestep, which I think we're taking anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get out of here. Cover of Darkness, especially if you pair that with Darkening Stone.
Push this fighter up to 2 hexes so they are in a cover hex. This fighter is considered to be in a cover hex. So push 2 hexes wherever you want.
Wherever you want. And then any in-faction pushes or pushes that push the opponent or yourself are all like, I was taking them all anyway.
Yeah.
And it really helped me here. But Jared's point holds true.
Yeah. You have to use them to make the Exiled Dead player waste more cards and more activations.
I know, and it's been a while since I've played pretty hardcore championship play, but are those cards pretty present even in more aggro decks, or is that something that somebody else is going to have to potentially kind of add a couple extra into what they're wanting to do anyway?
I think Confusion is probably the one that is going to have to get subbed in, but it's gonna. I think it serves most play styles now anyway. If you want to be on feature tokens, you can Confusion your opponent off. If you you can set it up so that you can Confusion yourself onto a feature token as an aggro player.
Yep.
To get your opponent off.
I think the card that we saw a lot of play leading up to these releases was Countercharge and Brave Companion.
Yeah.
And I think Confusion or Mirror Move can fill that slot because in all the other matchups, they're still very effective, but they're not charging you that much unless Regulus has really got to go to work.
Yeah.
So those are tough cards. And then you can't react anyway. So,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. Countercharge
Yeah.
and Brave Companion are right out the window.
Yep. Okay, so now that I think we've covered all the pushes. Are we good to
Well,
push
step-
forward?
yeah,
Ah.
step in the shadows.
Okay, cool. We already talked about Step Between the Shadows. Good.
No,
All
we
right.
didn't talk about it, but
No, we didn't.
no,
I thought
you
we
mentioned
did.
it and I went back to confusion.
But it's niche.
It is
So-
niche.
It is, but it's
Requires setup.
powerful.
If you're running Darkening Stone anyway, you should be. Like everyone should be running Darkening Stone. It puts a fighter in a cover X. It can't be your leader, but it gives you that innate, double support
Yep.
on defense. It unlocks a ton of cards. It helps score a ton of cards. And now
Yes.
we have Step Between the Shadows, which you can just pull yourself out and put yourself on another cover hex.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could be really cool. I
Some
love
good stuff.
teleports.
Oh yeah, we've gone for a couple. What? There's been a couple seasons where we've not had a teleport card, right?
I think we've had one every
Korsh
season,
can
because
do
there's-
it.
Well, and there's Beast Trail.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true. Beach Trail. Yeah. Ignore me. I'm really rusty.
But I
so
mean,
just
Beast Trail
excuse
wasn't
me.
largely taken. It's a good counter to this warband, but I don't think that it has much play in any other sense. So
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get our equipment. Let's go get our stakes and wait, that's vampires. Sorry. Let's go get whatever we need to try and tech to kill these guys. What are we doing to bring the pain to the Exiled Dead?
I need a chainsaw hand.
I need a baseball bat with barbed wire.
There you go. Well, we'll leave Ash and the Evil Dead out of all this. So let's talk about what we can actually bring
No.
in Underworlds.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing here is range 2 upgrades. All of
Okay.
the spears, the Guardian Glaive, just because it keeps you from being adjacent and yet you still get to attack. So you've used all of your push tech to stay out of the horde, but now you're out of position to attack if you've got range 1 fighters. So all of the spears are good. The Soultooth weapon, Soultooth spear specifically, because if they have a move for a charge token, you get a reroll. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, Soul Tooth definitely gained value because of this release.
Yeah.
And don't forget about Phantom Spear.
Oh yeah, the illusion.
The illusion.
Free.
Little expert tip, because I'm not that smart of a player. But if you read the little illusion thing, it says break this upgrade at the end of the action phase.
Yep.
Well, if you apply those illusions in the end phase, they'll last the whole nother turn.
The whole turn, Jason?
Unless you take damage or selected by a ploy. Yes, the
Wow.
whole other turn.
Wow.
Amazing.
Just call me Owen Wilson. Wow. Yeah, and I mean, so Phantom Spirit's an illusion, right? It's costs you no glory, so you can put it on. You've not scored anything, and it gets you in a good position to attack. It also has cleave.
Yeah, I was gonna say cleave is something that would do some work against this warband because they're all shields, right? All block.
Except
Right.
Markov. Markov
Except
is
Markov.
double dodge.
Okay.
But Dauntelos, all the Zharn beasts, and Regulus
Yeah.
are all on
okay.
shields.
Yep.
Cleave is big.
So Dark Darts is in play, right?
Yes. Yeah, because it doesn't do 2 damage, so it's not going to kill him, but it's range 3. So
Right.
it keeps you even safer. So
Well, doesn't one of the darts have Grievous?
does the Phantom Darts have Grievous?
I think it's Phantom that it has it ignores cover. You get an extra die or something with cover,
Something.
and it has Grievous. But if you're hitting from 3 away and you're pushing back to 4 away, even though you're not killing somebody, you can still make them have to.
You're making them move or try and use their pushes to get closer to you to do what they want to do. So
Yeah, Phantom has Grievous and Seeking, so if they're in
Yep.
a cover hex, they get 4 dice instead of 3.
Yep. And fishing, you're on your Grievous, so you're fishing for those crits anyway.
And if you are checking into that range 3+ kind of technology, you could pop in like a cheeky Glory Seeker, right? Glory Seeker is
Yes.
going to be pretty popular anyway.
Do you know who really
So-
likes Glory Seeker? Manok with the Morkrow.
Oh, true.
Because that's a
True,
there's
true.
your range 4 attack.
Mm-hmm.
So now
What
you
about
can hit Daintalos behind the back line. And it's got
true.
Grievous. So
And then what's her face from the Stormcast warband too, right? She's got range 4.
yeah, and if she's inspired, I think she has Grievous too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does have Grievous.
Storm Rider.
Yep.
The archer
And,
from Iari. She's got Grievous when she's inspired too, right?
She does.
She can either Grievous or she can Loft, and it's range 5.
Yeah, range 5. Which, again, you're
Spicy.
just trying to plinking away. Glory Seeker on that will chip 2 away. Just remember now in Nether Maze that Grievous is not a stacking ability. Like Grievous 1 is Grievous 1, period.
Yeah.
So like there's no need for Fighter's Ferocity on those cards that already have Grievous printed on them. But yeah, you want that range. So
What about Onslain?
who?
Get out of here.
Onslain?
Get
I'm
out of
just
here.
asking.
She
I'm
doesn't
just
count.
trying to get ranged options.
She doesn't have Grievous.
She's
She's range 3. Just take Dark
She's
Darts
range,
instead.
she's
Pick a
range 4
different
when she's
warband.
inspired. She's range 4 when she's inspired.
Is she really? I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. Who knew? No one.
It's because Jerod
Poor
gave up on him.
freaking-
And Bellingham and Yilthari has a range 3 attack that does 2 damage when she's inspired. And all you gotta do is do a little bit of healing.
Oh,
Yeah,
look,
okay.
they're back.
They're back.
back.
They're not back. I would love to see somebody be successful with Yilthari's Guardians, but
Challenge accepted.
All right, back to the upgrades.
back to reality.
Range 2, range 3 upgrades. You're probably taking some weapon upgrades anyway in your deck.
Yep.
I understand that they may not be as accurate in all settings because you'll have the swords that have 3.
Yeah.
But switching to spears or soul tooth or some other of the like that gets you a little more range and better damage. Definitely looking to add those in. Glory Seeker, good stuff. And then even on range 2, if you're just focusing on the range 2, like all the other damage,
Great
adds to
strength.
it.
Great strength is in your pocket.
Yeah, you might need to double down on that because if they play their card where they're reducing damage by 1 if they're within 2 of Danielos, you might need a damage upgrade to get through.
Yep.
What about push upgrades?
Yeah, so
push upgrades.
Yeah, I think that this is where you can really take it to the next level.
Soundless Step, Duelist Speed. So both of those cards that let you react and push after an attack after your activation. So you attack with the spear, push away.
So trying to get them to burn more actions to get close to you again.
Yeah.
You're trying to kind of mitigate that efficiency that they have, just kind of innate, which is great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
And at this point, like we're putting a lot of time and effort and tech into pushes, how to damage them, how to kill them. And I just want to put out there for reference, like in a lot of my games, I'm not scoring all my objectives. And in particular, one game, I scored 6, which is half of my objective hand. Had I scored 7, I would have won. But in this particular game, I scored 6, and I still scored 18 glory.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, like, part of playing into this warband is you might not be able to turn through your objective hand, but remember that if you kill the zombies, you get glory.
Yep. Yeah, I think, there was one of our games, I think you killed 7 total zombies.
They're still on the board at the end of the game.
And there are 4 of them. There are 4 zombie figures, and you got 7 glory from killing them. I think more, because I think off of one of those, or 2, you probably got primacy. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay to abandon your objective deck if it means that you get a farm glory from the zombies.
So that kind of leads us into your strategy. So we've talked about kind of some of the tech that you want to try and achieve. Are you trying to aggro back? Or are you trying to play a little more passive and maybe go something that's not as traditional right now, which is more straight objective play, and then just trying to add some of these techie tools in to kind of help you your rakes and your shovels and all the stuff that you'd normally see in a zombie movie to try and fight off the horde. Are you doing the same thing? I mean, is that how you're approaching this?
I think you're sharpening your hockey sticks so that you got
That's it.
range 2.
Yeah.
So the most success that I have seen players have against me is if they wait. So if you don't try to force the engagement, you wait for the horde to approach you, you just kind of shuffle back and you attack at range and keep the horde out of position. And that goes to Jason's point, like that was one of the games where if he had scored one more objective or killed one more zombie, or I hadn't rolled daylight robbery, he would have won because he was able to farm 7 glory from 4 fighters. So
right,
by waiting, by hanging back, waiting for me to come to him. So, and like at that point, like I have no choice. Like I have to go in. I either need to be on cover hexes in his territory. I need to be in his territory. So I'm coming. So he was able to capitalize on almost, on a 50-50 die roll. So the play was right. The strategy is sound, is what I'll say.
Yeah. And remember that when you do have to attack, you're attacking the flanks. So you want to get around the sides, especially if you got that board alignment where you're wide. Try to get around the side of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't go down the middle. That is not a safe
like
place
a bad
to
idea.
Be. No. Yeah.
Seems like a bad idea. You want to kind of skirt around.
Yeah.
And
then obviously, if you can take down Daintalos in the second action phase, then you're just mopping zombies or doing whatever it is that your objective deck is telling you to do for that third action phase. Their action economy and accuracy and ability to disrupt you goes down significantly when Daintalos is dead.
Right. So if you can sever the head,
you
can potentially really cripple the warband.
And just remember what typically when you see them across from you, their end phase scoring is either on cover or in your territory and you not in their territory.
Yes.
So if you're attacking the flank, even if I can't get to Daintalos, I want to get a fighter in deep and then make them either have to activate Markov and come get me or stretch that zombie line to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and they're likely not going to stretch that zombie line because they need fighters in your territory. So they're probably going to be relying on Markov and Reculus to try to take out whatever you sent in. If you can get 2 fighters into enemy territory, then that's a lot better.
And we haven't seen the +2 move cards played all that much recently since the speed package rotated out. But maybe it's time to bring back +2 move to some of these warbands.
Yeah. So to kind of circle back a little bit on just some kind of more broad general things that you want to try and do. So wait is a good one. So
yes.
Wait for your engagement or try and push somebody deep into their territory. Bring cleave if you can, right?
Yes. Yep.
What about, I know that one of Jason's favorite cards ever is Acidic Strike. Like, are you bringing something like that to try and take off upgrades off of some folks, or what are you thinking, Jason? Do you like that card against this warband?
Unfortunately, like Acidic Strike always gets put into my decks, but never makes it into the full championship deck. I think it has a lot of play now, given the damage mitigation cards that are out there just in general play. But more so here because there are a couple upgrades that Daintalos can take that really scare me, which is +1 damage on conductive minions within 2, and then -1 damage on conductive minions within 2. He also has a res card. So I think, like, if I have the range, if I have a range 3 attack, it's not a bad take. And then I can leverage the card in other warbands as well, because we're at this range, we're probably not one-shotting. And that's where Acidic Strike always kind of fell off, is like it was a one-shot meta, so I was going to try to get as much damage into my deck as I could. But if I'm not playing that meta right now, maybe it creeps back up. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet because I haven't seen a need for it when the warbands that I've been playing, but it is some tech that could be out there.
Yeah.
What about damage mitigation cards that you can do to try and stymie some of the incoming damage? Like if you do get caught out, right? And this always happens where you have one game where you just need one push and all of your pushes are at the bottom of your deck. So you can't get out, but you're gonna take some hits. Are there any like upgrades or potential other cards that can help you kind of mitigate some of that damage if you do get swarmed?
Yeah, so damage mitigation is good. You just got to make sure it's not a reaction.
Right.
It's got to be a flat damage reduction. So one that actually, and Jason called this one out, Painful Brilliance. So this is an upgrade. It's -1 dice from range 3+ attack actions that target this fighter, or -1 dice from all attack actions that target this fighter if you have the primacy token. And
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, but
Pretty good.
4 2-wound fighters that want to be in your face seems a lot like primacy fuel to me. So, and then the Painful Brilliance, you could put it on whatever fighter you're sticking up front, because now Daintalos is only rolling 1 magic dice to try to get his stagger token on you. And then the rest of the zombies are, if you've got primacy, then the rest of the zombies are only rolling 1 dice. Seems
That's awesome.
pretty good defensively.
And they also, since they want to they want to put stagger tokens on you and also try and get that buff for themselves, is there anything that we can do to try and help mitigate getting staggered?
Yeah, so when it comes to stagger, it's kind of hard because when they dance, he's going to try to hit you again and stagger the token again. But, just as a reminder, putting on guard tokens, not cards that have you on guard, but if they give you a guard token removes the stagger token. Plus, it gives you a defensive buff, right, when you're being attacked. So there may be some cards out there that in certain warbands that give guard tokens and they fit that play style that you're looking for. The other one that I love, and I wish that there was more order warbands that I liked to play, but they have Perfect Stance, which is an order card that I just cannot be staggered. So be really nice to put that and run somebody in and do some work.
Just put it on Gallingham. Put him right up front. It's
See, they're making a comeback. And he goes to 2 shields, and he can get like an additional shield, can he? Isn't there another shield?
Yes, he has an faction upgrade to go to 3 shields. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's in there taking it. He's the dude in like the makeshift trash can armor sitting there trying to like fight off all the zombies with his pokey stick. I mean, it's just
perfect. A shame that he can't react and do damage when he rolls a crit.
That's unfortunate.
The other little piece of tech too, if you have a spellcaster, is Quintox Bubble, which is a pretty popular card out there anyway. Actually, it is used in a number of Exiled Dead builds, but it's used like Nurgle, see some play with it, and some other people too. But it's a gambit spell. If cast, it's -1 damage on attack actions that target the chosen fighter to a minimum of 1, and the chosen fighter has the fly trait.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that yet.
So
I'm just gonna say this: Yothari's a wizard.
She is a wizard.
But the fly trait is not really prevalent, and there's not a lot of cards that give it to you. There's a couple in-faction ones. I think there's one straight card outside in the universal pool that gives fly, but that's a really nice way to jump the zombie horde.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, and if you can jump that zombie horde and take off the head, then
that seems like not game over, but it seems like you've got a batter on third and you're trying to bunt in.
Yeah, you've definitely got the Exiled Dead player on their back foot if you can take down Daintalos. So
we've kind of talked about some general strategies. Are there warbands that you like the matchup going into these guys? Are there and not maybe it's necessarily specific warbands, but warbands that may have some of these key traits that we talked about. So, range 2, for example, or something like that. Is there anything that you're thinking of?
So Dreepers, Wraith Creepers comes to mind. You've got 3 range 2 fighters, and then they're all on double dodge, so, and they all can fly. So I think there's definitely some play there. We mentioned Storm Rider from Xandar's Truthseekers. We mentioned Anela from Fiery's Purifiers. So, and then they've also got Banhammer. So he's a range 2, and he's super tanky, a lot tankier than his 3 wounds suggests.
Yeah, he is.
So,
what about a Mollog?
I don't know, man. I mean, the fact that he's range 2 helps a lot. That he can just kind of hang back and bop the zombies as they come in. I just don't know if he's going to have the scoring ability without pushing in and being aggressive.
Well, but he also, the thing too is you have to remember he can still move after he can move, do some swings, and then he can charge out or move in. So he's got some mobility. He's not necessarily stuck like some of these other warbands might.
Yeah, and the thing with Mollog is you can score sudden revelation by putting the Stalag Squig right on the boom, and then move another one, boom, flip. You got some glory going.
That's true.
The Stalag Squig's pretty defensible too. The Stalag Squig's pretty defensible too. Like he's only got 2 health, but I mean he's on double shields from the beginning.
And you put him in a cover hex.
He's not on dodge. He's on shields.
Oh yeah, 2 block, and then you put him in a cover hex.
Listen, and if you get him in, if Mollog does get bit a few times and they inspire, he's biting for 2. Look out!
And at that point his sweep attack does 2 damage too.
Oh
so
yeah,
if he's in the middle of that horde. So just some things to think about.
Food for thought. Jason?
So like for me, it's not, what I don't really want to steer people away from the warband that they want to play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I just think that when you're going up against a defining warband, you may have to play your warband a little differently. So now I'm going to use Headcrackers Mad Bob, for example. If I'm playing Headcrackers, they have a pretty passive build, right, already. Like that's the way they've always kind of been in Championship, is a little more laid back, a little passive. But Tooth Daga is like been the linchpin of the warband, just because of how well he inspires and how well he hits. But if I'm playing into Exiled Dead, I'm probably getting a weapon upgrade onto Daco and having him be at the front, and then Headcracker.
Yeah.
So
with the range 2, range 3.
Yeah, range 3, range 2, getting them up and having them do work. And if I don't have a weapon upgrade, I'm just shooting the bow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to freeze myself with a charge token though.
No. Yeah, you got to be able to run away from the horde.
Right, run away. But more importantly, I'm playing them just a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Scape's Wild Hunt. Not that we see them a ton.
I was going to ask about them because Scathe can move.
But Scathe can charge late turn 1, throw his javelin, and hopefully take out a zombie. Right? Yep. And then now I have Scything, which we haven't talked about Scything. But Scything can work against the wonderful Exiled Dead. You just want to have a push card tuned up so you get out of the center.
Yeah.
Right.
And you want to stack as many dice as you can.
Yes. Stack and swing. It is not a viable option, but boy, when it goes off.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, if you can take out 2 or 3 zombies in one swing, that's going to be pretty good.
And then I think we're really going to see Nurgle. Like I watched a couple of games of Nurgle into Exiled Dead, and it is a thing of beauty because there's so many dice being rolled. There's just so much cool stuff of damage mitigation in that.
Yeah.
I really like that matchup. And then vampires, Gorath normally has been someone that has sit towards the back of the board when the zombies have played. But now with his range 2, and if you get him bloodthirsted, he can go up to 5 wounds.
Yeah.
And then, they'll lay the sword. The
Velas
Velas
Fontaine
does get scything if you need it. You
Yep.
have Ananias that has, I'm pretty sure he has fly, right?
He gets
does,
fly when he inspires, but he's
Mm.
but then he's moved 6 when he's bloodthirsted. So
And then Duval gets cleave when
Yep.
he's inspired.
and he
So,
goes to 2 shields, which is pretty
Pretty good.
strong against
all that stuff. So, and then I think the warband that's going to benefit most from this wonderful matchup and the Our Order is Thundrix Profiteers.
Ooh.
All
the
the
range
range.
fighters.
All the range, they've always loved hold objectives.
That's true.
And I don't think we've really talked about that, but I think a really good counter meta, regardless of Exiled Dead, but a really good counter meta right now with all the cover and feature token hold is actually objective hold. And the
Yeah.
Profiteers have always done it really well. And I'm
Yeah.
talking Path to Victory, what is
Dominant
it?
position.
Dominant position. Heck, maybe even a supremacy.
Yeah,
Because Thundrix has some cleave inbuilt into some of their attacks too.
they do. Yeah.
Yep.
They do, and then Thunder can put up a bubble around himself. So
Yeah.
Seems pretty good.
it
Well,
does.
I think I mean, if I'm a player that's not playing all that often or is coming up onto these guys and I've listened to our podcast, I feel like I'm pretty well prepared. So I think we've exhausted all of our options. So I think we're going to take a break and come and close the show out.
And we're back, and that wraps up the 39th episode of the Battle Mallet podcast. This has been Hex Ed. Are the Exiled Dead your appalling end? Hopefully not after this episode. So they're definitely going to reshape the meta. So we hope that we've been useful. We appreciate any feedback that you have on the episodes. So we have our Discord that you can jump in there. You can comment, come hang out with us. We're often online in the Chatty Chat channel, hanging out, doing hobby, playing video games, talking about playing games. So join us there. You can find us on Twitter. We're Battle Mallet 1. On Instagram, we're Battle Mallet PCast. On Facebook, we're Battle Mallet Podcast. And then the Discord, there's a link to join in the show notes, and I think in all of our various social channels. So you can find us there. And then I think the only shout out that we really want to give is, there's 2. One that just came to mind. So one is the Nova Open is happening. There's a championship event for Warhammer Underworlds there. So if you're in the, wow, really chewed that one up. If you are on the East Coast, specifically in the Virginia, DC area, it's a pretty short trip. It's on a Friday, potentially into Saturday, so you can make a long weekend of it. It's a good time, even if you don't play Underworlds. It's, I think, one of the favorite trips that I get to go on every year. Just good time with gamers and being immersed in the games. I always feel a little bit revitalized after, ready to get to the next gaming thing when we get back from that. And then the only other thing that I want to shout out is it's a little amorphous right now, but we know that TJ, who runs the Games Workshop store here in Raleigh, is going to put together maybe a learning Warhammer Underworlds event on a Saturday at his store here in Raleigh. So as soon as we know when that is, we'll kind of announce it out and push it, but keep your ears out. Sometime in June, probably, since May is almost over. So keep an eye out for that. And then we're doing our regular rotation, every other Monday here locally. So if you're in the area and want to play Warhammer Underworlds or other skirmish games, hit us up.
Or if you're going to actually be in the area on any of those Mondays, potentially.
Yeah.
If you're traveling for work or whatever, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. Sweet. So I think that's it. Anything else? Closing thoughts, gentlemen?
No.
Jason just is gonna hydrate and.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep nursing this voice. I apologize for getting even more scratchy throughout the day.
That's all right. So we're all good. So for the Battle Mallet podcast, we are 3 conductive minions. Are we? I don't know.
I'm Coil. If we're minions, I'm Coil.
Yeah. Is that your lucky arm?
That's right. I got a lot of practice with that one arm.
Yeah, you do. This is Jerod signing out.
This is Trey signing out. Yeltari's Guardians are awesome.
And I'm Jason Table Newberry. Get the hell out of here.
Peace.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
The Exiled Dead. Your home may qualify for solar power at no cost to you.